Welcome back. With the festive season comes relaxation, lots and lots of processed and convenience food and drinks. But to remind us of healthy and mindful eating habits, we are now joined in studio by Chef Zana Alvarado, who's the chairperson for the South African Chefs Women in Culinary. Chef Zana, thank you so much for joining us and this beautiful display of food that you have here for us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Before we get into the food, Chef Zana, I just want to talk a little bit about your work as a chef. I mean, your food philosophy is around farm to plate and really about sustainable food. How important is it for us to be aware of where our food comes from, especially during this festive season?
Oh, it is so important for us to know exactly where our food comes from, so we know what we're putting into our bodies. We want to get the good stuff in. But more than that, we also have to be very aware of climate change and environmental hazards. So it's very important to know exactly what you're eating. You want to get good minerals, nutritious food, and not processed food. And it's always good to support local and to buy seasonal, because you know you're getting the good stuff and you know where your food is coming from.
That's so important. But is it realistic for us to be having very healthy food, especially during this time of gluttony?
Look, the festive season is a time for indulging. I think we all know that. We all want to eat good stuff. We want to feed our families good stuff, and it must be tasty. But if you look at the spread before you right now, this is all fairly healthy, but it looks very indulgent.
Of course.
So I'm going to talk you through some of the plates that we have done and show you how to actually make simple, conscious decisions to put more healthier stuff on your plate, but still have that feeling of you eating like a king and queen.
Well, this looks like a king and queen display. Let's start off. Would that be your snack?
So this would be a quick appetizer before your meal. And I love the idea of doing boards or doing sharing desserts, family style, as opposed to traditional plated or individually plated. Because the holidays is all about family and having people around. So with the first one that you've got here, this is healthy because it's beetroot and it's hummus. So we've got here a beetroot hummus with Melba toast, some lovely chunks of South African feta with black pepper, some chickpeas and some micro herbs. This is a high-protein dish, but it's also really good to set the tone. It's not only can be used as an appetizer, but you can have this as a snack platter as well, and it's great for children too, to just dip in. You could add crackers with there, you could add some toasted bread, and really play with the flavors. I added beetroot to the hummus and then blended it in a normal food processor, simply because the color is vibrant, it's a little bit festive, but also beetroot is high in antioxidants and iron and adds a beautiful earthy flavor profile to this dish.
You emphasize that it's South African feta.
Correct.
Why?
Well, feta that is Greek feta now has come with a seal that if it's not produced in Greece, it cannot be called Greek feta.
Okay.
So Greece has claimed ownership to one of their prized culinary delights.
And would you say the South African delight tastes better than the Greeks?
Well, I'm South African and I'm heavily patriotic, so I would have to say I'm proudly purchasing South African feta.
Which is very important. So then we move to our main course. And I see some vegetables, a lot of vegetables actually, and some protein as well. Just talk us through that meal.
All right, so here we've got some butternut puree, and I've pureed that with a little bit of cinnamon, some cream, and some brown sugar at the bottom, topped with a beautifully grilled piece of chicken, some baby potato, and a garlic aioli. And some of the green that you see on there is micro herbs. I'll talk to you about that in a second. But also broccoli florets. Broccoli also adds some lovely texture to this dish, and of course, highly nutritious. Now, I love adding micro herbs because it's a garnish, but you can eat it, because they're nutrition powerhouses. It's full of antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and I think they go a long way. Not only do they look pretty, but they just add so much value to your body.
Of course, of course. This looks absolutely amazing, and I'm sure not only adults will enjoy a food like this, but certainly children as well, simply because of how it looks from just looking at it, and I can assure that the taste is just as good.
Now, I do believe that people eat in color, especially children. The more colorful, bright, and creative a plate looks, chances are the child is going to eat it. But I think, you know, everybody eats with their eyes first before you taste the food. So you want to have something that looks lovely and creative, but also tastes good. Then you know it's a win-win. Chicken is... Who doesn't love a chicken dinner?
Of course.
I mean, I know very few people that don't eat chicken, but chicken dinner, it's literally winner chicken dinner. That's,
of course.
You know, and when you have something like that, you also want to do a salad. Most people opt to go for a cold salad, lots of lettuce. But I find that lettuce generally lies. It sits at the bottom. It gets soggy.
Of course.
You want to change it up a little bit for the festive season. Do a little bit something a little more special. So the plate next to that is actually asparagus that has been blanched and cooked. And it's got blistered tomatoes over the top. some lovely balsamic reduction, adds a little bit of tartness and sweetness, and then some fresh lemon zest over the top for some
that's
brightness.
What it is. Very, very bright. And then my absolute favorite. I have a sweet tooth, so anytime is dessert time.
Anytime is dessert time. I totally agree with you there. So for dessert, I would suggest for the festive season something that's quick and easy, which is a pavlova.
Okay.
It goes a long way, and here we've got not a traditional plated pavlova, we've got a deconstructed one. So I've crushed the meringue, covered it with dollops of fresh cream that's been sweetened with a little bit of vanilla and icing sugar, and over the top some fresh mango chunks and some granadilla pulp that adds beautiful tropical exotic flavor, and I've garnished it with purple edible flowers, some pansies.
And it smells absolutely amazing as well. I suppose it's the granadilla.
Yes, it is. I always say there are two aromas that remind me of summer. It's watermelon and a freshly cut granadilla.
Most certainly. Speaking of summer, these summer drinks look absolutely amazing. I'd like to believe that they're non-alcoholic.
They are non-alcoholic, so these are mocktails, and they're perfect for the festive season. And on here, I've got a little bit of orange juice with some cranberry juice topped up with some ginger ale. I've got some frozen cranberries there and some rosemary. Now, the rosemary adds a beautiful green herbaceousness and some freshness. The cranberries are tart, but I freeze them. And I'm a big advocate of freezing your fruit, so your grapes and your blueberries and your strawberries, and popping them into your drinks, as opposed to using ice. Ice, when it melts into a drink, it waters it down, and the flavor becomes a bit insipid, and it's not as tasty as it could be. So with the frozen berries, it adds color, it adds texture, it adds interest, and it doesn't water down your drink.
And it certainly does add taste as well.
And it's festive. It looks so festive.
It looks so festive, so Christmassy. One thing about healthy meals, often people would say they're not as cost effective as what I can grab and go as a fast food meal. How do you work around budget in ensuring that you still attain this kind of freshness, this kind of healthiness in your meals, especially during this time?
Make a list. Make a list and know exactly what you want to get. You know what you like. You know what your family likes. Get more of that stuff. Buy local, support local farmers, and buy in season, because when you buy in season, you're buying the fresh products that are readily available on the shelf, and there's a surplus, there's an abundance of it. So support local and buy that way. Preservatives in fast foods, I'm not a big fan. I like to know what I'm eating, and when you buy from nature and you buy natural stuff, get to know your greengrocer. Go in, buy the cream of the crop, and you know that you're getting the good stuff. And that's your way to work around during the festive season. And the other thing about was when you buy in season, the costs are generally lower because of the abundance of produce. So you could end up paying very little as opposed to if you buy out of season.
That's very interesting. You have gone into the retail space, created your own pantry, niblets here and there. Just talk us through that and what made you veer into that kind of business venture as opposed to just being a chef that provides for events and food production.
Okay, so I do a lot of catering, and generally when I'm cooking for 12, sometimes 14 hours a day, I come home and I want to eat a good meal, but I'm sometimes too exhausted to actually cook the type of meal I want to. So I came up with a range of chef-created pantry products that are easy to use, still retains all of the goodness. So no preservatives, no artificial colorants or flavorants in there, and it's easy to mix, easy to use. And when you use it, it's economical in the sense that in my salad dressing, for example, the ranchero, you would need 2 teaspoonfuls of the mix in a cup of buttermilk, and you mix it together, and it's good to use. It's the same as if you had me cooking for you in your kitchen. It's chef-created, restaurant quality. It's all the good stuff, and it just makes your time in the kitchen so much easier. My whole thing about being in the kitchen, as much as I love cooking, and this is for someone in the festive season as well. When you spend more time in the kitchen actually cooking, you have less time to spend with the people you love.
That's true.
So the whole idea behind this meal and cooking this way is quick, easy to do things that are still big on flavor, big on nutrition, but it maximizes your time spending with the people you like, which is what the holidays is all about.
And what's your favorite meal to cook, especially during the festive season?
I love a good stuffed chicken. A stuffed roasted chicken with a beautiful traditional stuffing is my go-to. I love that with some crispy potatoes and maybe a fresh salad.
And what would you generally stuff it with?
I do a mixture of breadcrumbs, spices, some onion, fresh herbs, generally sage. I find that goes really well. Some fresh lemon zest to bring in some freshness there and brightness. And I love that. I really do.
No, most certainly. This looks absolutely amazing. While we go for a break, you and I are going to quickly dig into these dishes. And I'm pretty sure that many of the crew members are also eyeing it. But thank you so much for your time, for your tips. Any tips that you have for us during the festive season that we can carry out throughout the year, especially when it comes to good food?
Absolutely. So at the beginning of the week, I would say definitely make a list of what it is you want to purchase during the week. Make a menu so you know what you're cooking Monday to Friday. And make a menu with this in mind, that if you have leftovers, how can you repurpose it the next day?
Right.
So if you make a roast chicken for lunch on a Sunday and you've got chicken left over, put it in the kids' lunch the next day by making a chicken and mayo sandwich. You know, if you do a shakshuka, for example, which is a traditional Turkish egg dish, find a way to repurpose it for breakfast the next morning. Or for dinner, because breakfast for dinner is a thing, It is really a thing. And when you make your list and you know what you're making, it's very seldom that you will have waste in your kitchen because you know exactly what's in your fridge.
That's so true. Chef Zana, thank you so much for your time and for these wonderful dishes and, of course, for all the tips that you've given us for this festive
It's my pleasure. And if anybody would like to follow me, feel free to do so on my Instagram, TikTok, and my Facebook. It's chef_Zana, Z-A-N-A.
And do we get free recipes there as well?
You get recipes, you get cooking videos with instructions, tips, and tricks from a chef. So I hope to see you all there.
We certainly will be there. And that was South African Chefs Women in Culinary Chairperson, Chef Zana Alvarado, speaking to us there about making those very healthy, nutritious, yet so delicious festive meals. Stay with us.